Going on today on Amps, Pedals and Pickups, we're going to take a look at the brand new STL ToneHub Tracer and Tracer Exchange. Now this new Tracer gives you the ability to capture your amps and pedals at home or in the studio and put them right there inside of the ToneHub software. If you've used NAM, Neural Amp Modeler, ToneX, Kemper, it's that kind of thing, but all inside of ToneHub. Now we'll take a look at how to actually trace your amps and pedals, as well as look at the Trace Exchange, where people can share all of these trace models for free if you wish to do so. There's also some cool mixing and matching you can do with existing ToneHub packs when you add some of these new trace models to those. So there's a bit to go through here in this video. Now it's also worth mentioning that I'm an STL Amphub and ToneHub beta tester, and I've had access to this stuff for a few months now, so please consider all of this a feature demo. Have a listen, and all thoughts and opinions are your own. I'll fire up an amp over here, get a tone, dial it in, and we'll see all of the tracing in action. Alright, so I just fired up the Engel Fireball 60. I've dialed things in. Now the impulse response, the IR that I'm using here, is actually the Marshall cab in the background there. You can almost see the SM57 in the rough position, the top left, pretty centered stuff. I just want a nice bright tone, so that's what I've gone with. I'll leave a link to that IR in the description below. Oh yeah, what a great segue. Don't forget to like, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'll leave all that stuff on Discord as well, so there should be a link below. But anyway, let's take a listen to the amp. So this is not ToneHub, this is just directly the amp going through the LoadBox into my interface. This is how things are sounding now. Yes, that is a little bit bright, but that's what you would expect when you shove a 57 straight on the cone. I just find with this stuff, it gives me a little bit more lateral movement later. So once you finally land on a tone that you like and you go, yep, this is what I want, you pull up ToneHub and then you go into the tracer section. So this is what the tracer looks like. There's a whole bunch of different ways that you can do this. I'll leave a link to the STL video below because they go more in depth about routing, equipment to use, all the different types and everything. If I do it, this is going to add way too much time. So we're just going to do one trace here. But if you've done things for Neural Amp Modeler, ToneX, that kind of thing before, it's a very similar process. Now today, I'm just going to do an amp only capture. And that's because, once again, it gives me the most lateral movement later on. I can add pedals to it. I can change IRs. So I'll choose the amp only. And if you go to hardware example, it even gives you the routing diagram. But like I said, the STL video will really explain things if you're having trouble setting this stuff up. So I know my hardware's good. We'll hit proceed. Now they give you a special tracer tone file. This is the WAV file that you're going to play through your equipment, and then the software is going to do all the analysis of how to recreate your amp. So just hit locate. So I've dropped that tracer tone WAV file up there, and essentially this is where I send stuff out of the box, and then this is going to be my amp return, and then this track is for me playing guitar. So I'm only dealing with these two for now. That's my send, that's my return. So I'm just going to record this, and we'll get our return file. All right, cool. So just run that file out. This is what the return from my amp looks like. And we just need to render this file out. I'm just going to call it Engel Fireball YouTube Edition. Now I do everything in 48K for this kind of stuff. In mono, 24-bit PCM, this is what it looks like in Reaper. Render that out. So now we have that WAV file that we've done there. We've run it through our equipment and everything. I've just imported it here. And once you do an import, it'll let you know if the file's good or not. If it's too hot, you'll get a warning message, that kind of thing. So it's telling me I've got 6.6 dB of headroom. It's good to go to do the tracing. So we'll just go to the next section. I always do advanced. Why not? Try and get the maximum quality out of this stuff. You can do CPU or GPU training. I've got a pretty beefy GPU here. Things are pretty quick. And that's pretty much it. Just do the start tracing. It takes about 8.5 minutes on this rig, so I'll speed things up and we'll see how long this takes. All right, cool. So we're done there. Just hit proceed and go to the next step. Now, another cool thing with the ToneHub tracers, I probably should have chosen a better amp for this because I don't have this one here yet, but you can do the sort of liquid profiling thing. So if you have an amp that matches one of the tone stacks that they've got modeled, let's just go with the EBH 5153. If I was doing that amp, I would choose the 5153 out of the settings. I would tone match all the settings there, and then you're getting a bit more of a faithful recreation when you play back the amp. So that's cool, and I believe they're going to continuously keep adding these tone stack styles here. Unfortunately, they don't have an Engel one now, so my bad on choosing the wrong amp to really demo this stuff, but maybe that's something I'll do later. So I'm going to stick with generic now, and I'm just going to leave everything at noon. These dials here, are just sort of post the capture. So if you want a little bit more gain after your capture, a little bit more presence, treble, whatever you want to do, now's the time that you would start changing things. So I'm not going to do match settings to tone here because I'm not matching any settings. I'm just going to leave everything at noon. Hit the proceed button, fill in all the details. All right, cool. So everything's saved. We can see here Engel Fireball YouTube edition. I've loaded it in my own IR so I can make sure that everything sounds exactly the same as the way that I recorded it. Moment of truth. Everything's on noon. How do we sound? That just on its own is a sick capture. Let's compare things to the real amp. All right, let's take a listen. Man, that's pretty impressive stuff there. So that's a pretty quick look at how to capture your amps. I think the traces turned out very good. I'll talk about it a little bit at the end of the video, but I'm going to be doing a bit of a comparison between all the different capturing software so we can really scrutinize this stuff. But at a glance, it's sounding pretty damn good. I can barely tell the changes and I'm looking for them. If they're in a mix, that kind of thing. Very, very usable stuff here. Now, not only capturing amps, I spent a bit of time capturing pedals. So let's take a look here at my pedal folder. Got a whole bunch of stuff here. I captured the Bondi FX SICK has on a few different settings here, as well as a whole bunch of the JHS Bonsai. Now, if you know this pedal, it's a tube screamer pedal with a whole bunch of different modes. I did a video recently where I put out a pack for them. I've uploaded them here to ToneHub, completely free. So all the different modes of the JHS Bonsai, as well as a neutral and a boost setting. Like I said, if you want more information, check out my Bonsai video. But I've uploaded all of these to ToneHub, so they're good for you to go as well. So I've got my amp here. This is how the amp is sounding. Now, to some of you more traditional guitarists, it might seem like this is a lot of gain, but actually the low end can definitely do with some cleaning up. The IR I'm using is a little bit bright now, so we're just doing this for demonstration purposes, and we'll look at it a little bit further later. But in the stomp section, you have different trace pedals that you can actually add your captures to, which is super, super handy. So if I go here, I've got my folder for pedals. I would probably encourage you to do the same just to keep everything neat and organized. Let's chuck this Boost 808 on here. So once again, without a boost pedal, chuck the boost pedal on there. And then if we want to hear like the subtle nuances between the 808 style of boost and a different style of boost, let's say we want to check out the MSL, you can have the different pedals sort of lined up there, and that's what makes it super handy. Fairly nuanced sort of results when things are so gained out here, but I think on a more lower gain amp setting, you would really notice the differences a lot more. And the whole point is having all these different flavors to choose from. So another thing I like doing is leaning on all of the artist packs. So like Jason Sukoff, he had a good pack. Let's just choose this Coleslaw C. Awesome stuff, high quality stuff, obviously a very good producer, all that kind of thing. They've dialed in some great tones here, but that low end could still use a bit of pushing. I specifically chose a capture without a boost so I can boost it myself. And let's go crazy. We'll chuck the Bondi FX SICK as the mega boost, so tons of gain on this one. Wrong tuning, but you get the idea. That is absolute monstrous gain, and back to the original capture. Lost my plectrum. We'll go something for a bit more traditional, the classic 808 boost. And you still have all the controls here, so if you find that you know, for someone like me, is just not enough volume on tap, you can spin that up there. Want to punch a bit more of the mids into it, a bit more treble if you want to do that kind of thing. Almost going into HM2 turf with all that gain that we're smashing into this preset. So once again, if you're a ToneHub subscriber and you have access to all these packs, and now you have access to the Trace Exchange where people are going to be uploading pedals, and you can do way more mixing and matching, the combination of options is just so massive out there. Awesome stuff and definitely worth checking out. So there we go, that's a quick look at the new ToneHub Trace amp. I guess platform is probably a better word than amp because it's kind of its own new ecosystem inside of ToneHub. And if you're on a ToneHub subscription where you're already getting access to the latest packs, then the Trace feature is going to be available right now. You can go and update it and start riffing away. But if you just own ToneHub and you've picked up a few packs outright, I believe this is going to be a separate purchase to get this going. I'm actually unsure of the pricing because I'm filming this ahead of release, so go check out the STL website and I'm sure there'll be a trial page, pricing, all the other information you need. Once I get that info, I'll leave it in the description below as well. Now, we've been able to do captures in the box now with Neural Amp Modeler, ToneX, and Tonocracy, so I'm going to be doing a follow-up video in the next week or so comparing the quality of all these different traces, maybe even some amp sims depending on the amp that I go for. So if you want to stay up to date with that, make sure you like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And as always, thanks for sticking around to the end of the video, and I'll catch you on the next one.